Hello YouTube and welcome to the channel. It is your host Seiji Samurai here, and I'm back at it again with another part 2. What if Deku was hits for Reincarnation? Guys, I don't know if you guys hear it, but I have a little bit more pep in my voice, and you want to know the reason for that? It's due to the fact that today is my birthday! And guys, I am really happy. Yeah, it's been a wild amount of years, and not gonna lie, I feel like I matured. Slightly. Maybe. Probably. I don't really know. But honestly, guys, I'm honestly really excited about today. And honestly, I feel really happy. But just because of that fact does not mean I'm not going to give you guys a video. You guys deserve one. And sure, although some of you guys might be asking, like, bro, what are you doing? You should be celebrating your birthday. I'm going to celebrate it later on at night, you know, because that's, well, way better. And besides, I can do way more fun. But besides that, guys, thank you all so much for you supporting me. Hopefully you guys do enjoy your video. And after this, guys, I'm just going to go ahead and just do what I feel like. But as for you guys, I really hope you guys do enjoy the video. Grab some snacks, get some popcorn, get a blanket if you want, and hopefully you guys sit down and relax. But besides that, guys, have a great and wonderful day, and either way, let's begin.
You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different? Man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow, you can't be a pro. Don't waste your time no more. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to do?
Alright guys, let's go ahead and begin this what if. Thank you all so much for tuning into this one, and either way, let's begin. So we now start off after the UA Sports Festival, and things are now going smoothly by. A bunch of everyone in Class 1A end up getting a hero recommendation. Now, in this one, I'm going to go ahead and make it a little bit different. Since Deku, of course, isn't going to be getting the training from, well, the hero himself being, well, Gran Torino, considering the fact he doesn't have one for all, I am going to actually try something different in this one. Now, Deku obviously had the most recommendation out of everyone in Class 1A, as he had been given a large, like, bigger than everyone in the class. Holy crap, Midoriya! You have a lot of people trying to go after you. Well, I guess it makes sense. You kicked everyone's butts in the UA Sports Festival. This would, of course, mean that as he was looking at the scoreboard. At this, everyone in Class 1A would agree, as it made sense. Deku, even though he was quirkless, was making huge waves, as everyone was listening off about how this quirkless kid had ended up actually slaughtering and defeating everyone, including those with powerful quirks. And the thing that even gave him a bigger boost was the fact he slaughtered the heir to Endeavor, Todoroki, his son. And due to this, everyone wanted a shot at this big-time rookie, especially, heck, even due to the fact that he's quirkless. As everyone was enjoying their time, talking about like what hero agency they were going for, Deku was trying to think of what exactly he should do. After all, although the hero area, although he knows that he has completed well, and although a lot of people want him, he was not here for this. All right, he already had his own regimen, his own way to get stronger. However, it would look bad on him, considering the fact that he is not allowed to go unless he gets into an agency. Due to this, Deku had to think for a while. However, as he was doing so, he'll begin to sense something off. At this, he would then turn to Ida, who seemed to be lost in the moment, as he had showed a very far away look. Now, this is where we're going to end up getting a flashback. Ida, who had just gotten home, would actually end up hearing and receiving some very terrible news. Apparently, his older brother had gone into an incident with none other than the hero killer himself, Stain, which resulted in him being paralyzed and sort of ending his whole entire hero career. And hearing this, Ida was heartbroken completely. However, not only was he heartbroken, he was bloodthirsty. He had sworn vengeance on the hero killer, and he had planned to do exactly what he planned to do. He would find him, and he would make sure he pays for what he did. As we're now cutting off the flashback, Ida, who had completely been lost in thought, would instantly be walking home. As he was walking home, he would be accompanied by none other than Uraraka, and also, surprisingly, by Deku. At this, as they were going and heading to the station, Uraraka would of course wave goodbye to them as she would go off in her own way, while Ida was about to head off. This one he would then be stopped by Deku. Tell me, exactly how far are you willing to go? At this, Ida would then stop as he turns to Deku, giving him a fake smile. Oh, what do you mean, Midoriya? At this, Deku was not fooled by it. Your path for vengeance. How far are you willing to go for it? At this, Ida would then suddenly stop smiling as he showed Deku a blank expression. Don't stand in my way, Midoriya. Don't go ahead and get yourself in my business. With those parting words, Ida would then walk off as Deku would look at him with calculating eyes. He already knew what Ida was intending on. After all, With many years of assassination behind his back, he could already tell where this was going. As we now change our perspective to someone else, we see Aizawa as he was currently in a room, sitting down, as he would actually be here with a bunch of other heroes, including All Might. At this, All Might was currently looking down, as he wouldn't look at Aizawa. I'm very sorry that you had to find out the way you did. At this, Aizawa shakes his head. No, it was necessary. At this, after being revealed that Aizawa's best friend or past friend was actually Kodogiri, it actually ended up shattering him. Well, no, it actually ended up hurting him mentally a little bit, as that was some very deep stuff to deal with. And he was not the only one, as President Mike was honestly currently right now trying to hold himself from legit having a nervous breakdown. At this, he was holding himself. He looked worse for wear, as this is when suddenly he wouldn't stand up. We have to make them pay. This can't be allowed. He was not the only one. There were just plenty more out there. We can't allow this. As he would stand up and try giving them a reason, unfortunately, all the heroes wouldn't turn to him. And what do you suggest we do? We don't exactly have their location on deck. At this, all of them would look down as President Mike would then look at each one of them. But we can't sit here. We have to do something. At this, no one said anything. No one spoke up. As All Might would then get up, as he decides that right now he needs a break. He needs to leave the room. As All Might, the very symbol of peace, was walking through the hallways, he would then begin to think, all for one, just how far are you willing to go? At this, a scary face will then be shown on the number one hero, as he was having a look of bloodlust. However, as he was thinking this, he would then have to cough up some blood. Damn it. I need to find an heir soon. I guess I should go to the one who I should have thought of in the first place. At this, Toshinori, or All Might, had actually been thinking about Deku, as unfortunately the boy had decided to decline the offer, even though he would have made actually a very excellent user of One For All. But unfortunately, he wasn't able. Luckily, however, he thought of another person. At this, he decided to walk over, as he already decided the exact person who was going to become the next heir for One For All. As we now flash forward to the next day. Now, after the whole events of the day, it was finally, they still had a few more days before they can pick out their hero agencies, and this time they were actually ordered a task to go ahead and pick out their hero name. Now at this, many of them went ahead and decided on multiple hero names, as eventually it came down to Deku's hero name. Now with this, Deku had thought about this long and hard, but then again, the decision was honestly simple. It was a title that he was proud of back then, and it was a title that he would still be proud of to this day. It wasn't a title that can just be given to anyone. It was someone who actually showed true dedication to it. As Deku would walk up onto the stand, he would then look at everyone, as he would then reveal the hero name that he decided. Legendary Assassin Hero. Hit. At this, everyone would look at Deku surprised, as Mineta would then make a slight comment. Holy crap, dude, that's honestly terrifying. At this, all of them would nod, however, at the same time, they can't help but feel a little bit unhinged. I mean, Deku has shown very, very, very powerful techniques. And the fact that Deku is mostly quiet most of the time, and the fact that this man can pretty much hide away his presence, it fits him well, but at the same time, it does seem a little bit unnerving. At this, Deku goes ahead and stares at them down before walking back to the sea, as Midnight will make a very sly comment, as she will go ahead and say that she enjoys it very much. Of course, Deku doesn't really fall for it. He doesn't get flustered because you know how Midnight is. But he doesn't get flustered considering the fact, like, come on now, it's hit. He doesn't get flustered, dude. So moving on. So after all that being said, it was finally time for Class 1A to go ahead and pick out their agencies. At this, some of them went for the classy agencies, as most of them still stick to what they do in canon. However, Deku in this one, I'm going to go ahead and change it up a little bit. Well, actually by a lot, but let's continue. At this, Deku would currently be walking, as he would then be approached by none other than the man himself. You know, I'm honestly quite surprised that you were to join my agency. But then again, I'm very glad. Your skills, your techniques, you definitely are someone who would definitely decide to fit this agenda. As standing right in front of Deku, he would be currently sitting right in front of the number 4 hero, Edgeshot. At this, Deku will be taking in the man's appearance, as he was standing in a very classic dojo, which had been deemed his office. At this, Edgeshot, who currently right now was in his shinobi attire, was staring at Deku with analyzing eyes as Deku would stare at him. Yup, definitely someone who Deku would fit in with. As Deku had seen this man in action, and he had to admit he was impressed. After all, the way of the man has been able to do so many things, as not only is he good at defense, but his ability, his power, his quirk, all of it. And the fact that he has the arts of a natural shinobi really fits well, as Deku had been trained by, well, he was an assassin, so of course this sort of seems like they will fit well together. As Edgeshot would stare down at Deku, he would then suddenly extend his hands as he would shake it with Deku's. I'm glad to have you join my agency. I'll be taking you under my care. As saying this, Deku would also reciprocate the handshake, as both of them would stare down at each other. They would then also end up bowing, as just like that, the hero agency would then begin. As Deku would be trained by Edgeshot, or at least would try to be. Edgeshot was honestly impressed, as this kid definitely knew what he was doing. At this, when it came to warm-ups, as well as when it came to being stealthy, Deku was amazing at it. This kid, exactly what is he? At this, Edgeshot being the fact that he had been trained well, as well as the fact that he also has a natural shinobi-like arts, he of course had been able to pick up on something. Techniques that Deku were using, as well as the fact that Deku's abilities were far beyond someone who should be at his age. At this, he had read his profile. A child who had actually developed his own techniques, allowing him to push past and gain strength that would even surpass those were quirks. Of course, Edgeshot was interested in this, as he was a shinobi, and by nature, they were able to go ahead and find out information, as well as also the fact that they have also developed quite a lot of techniques through the years. But this kid's techniques were completely off-bound. Although his techniques at first showed no sign at all at being lethal, he could turn them lethal at any moment. When it comes to actually hitting the pressure points, which he had seen multiple times, he can't help but think if this kid actually tried and applied enough force, he could legit end someone's life that simple. His power, his techniques. It was almost as if he was a trained veteran. In Edgeshot's eyes, Deku was far beyond any of the kids his age, and honestly, he was surprised that kid did not skip a year at least. At this, he can do nothing more but help and think about what type of future does this kid have. Another thing that he also noticed was the fact that Deku, when it came to being stealthy, information gathering, and heck, even assassination itself, was incredibly good at it. Although he never ordered Deku for assassination, the way he moved, the way he thinked, and the overall, just the way he is in general, was enough to the point where Edgeshot could at least see that he was a perfect assassin, if he ever wanted to be. With this, he also had learned about the kid's name, which was the legendary assassin hero, Hit, which honestly, he can't help but agree with the title. But he was not the only one who was collecting information. Deku had been studying with Edgeshot, and he had realized that the man would have made an excellent assassin during his time. If he was in his world, the man would have made an excellent assassin. Even though his power would have been comparable to those in his world, if he had gotten like powers of ki, and if he had actually been able to train himself, then this man would have been actually a very top tier assassin, almost as renowned as him, but not enough to the point where he would surpass him. As Hit, even though if Hit would admit the man had a lot of techniques, he would have to know one thing, and that was the fact that the man, he was just way too outclassed. After all, Hit had multiple experience on his back. Although he respected the man, he was still far away from being close to comparing to him. And the respect really showed, as Hit even thought that if he had an opportunity to reincarnate into one of these people, he would reincarnate into Edgeshot. As this man's abilities, his techniques, it would all follow too well, especially with the fact that this man, his hero work is mostly meant for observation, gathering, and heck, even taking down threats before they even begin, aka assassination. So due to this, he honestly already thought that this man was honestly a perfect candidate if he were to be allowed to reincarnate to him. As we now currently turn to a very certain day. At this, Ito was currently on patrol as he was walking, as he had a very dark look on his face. At this, the streets were currently quiet as the man was talking to Ida, as he was talking to a rookie, of course. However, as Ito was walking though, he wouldn't see something in the corner of his eyes, as he already knew something was up. At this, he saw a man currently running away, as seeing this, he would also see someone in hot pursuit of him. Now this of course made Ida's blood boil, as he would suddenly end up ditching his instructor right before the man called out to him, but Ida ignored him. At this, we will now turn our attention to somewhere else. At this, currently right now, deep in the cell, we wouldn't see Kodagiri, as he was currently right now just trapped. He had not been able to escape at all. These things, whatever they put on him, had been able to restrict his teleportation quirk. And it sucked, considering the fact that right now, all they can do now is just observe him. Or at least they could have. At this, just as they were thinking, this when suddenly all the lights in Kodagiri's cell would then suddenly turn off, as just like that, apparently the power just went out. At this, Kodagiri was so confused. What? At this, he would then suddenly end up sensing something warp, as he would then suddenly see someone just fly out of it. Hey, old friend. I'm gonna need your help with something. At this, hearing the familiar voice, Kodagiri would then turn. And exactly what do you need help with? Shigaraki, sir. At this, Shigaraki would then let out a chuckle, as he would then suddenly put a hand on the straitjacket, completely destroying it and decaying it, destroying it into pieces. Come along now, we have some work to do. At this, Shigaraki would let out a creepy laugh, as all over the system, people began to panic as multiple escapees were getting like legit an opportunity to escape, which ended up taking the forces actually calling upon multiple heroes to help out. At this, we will now turn our attention back to Ida, as while this was happening, he was currently hot pursuit over the person. Stop right there. At this, Ida was currently shouting as he used his nitro boost to boost himself up. At this, after moving quickly through the alley, he would then finally stop, as he would then see him. Standing there, having his katana pierced through the shoulder of an unknown hero, we will see none other than the hero Stain. At this, he would then look at Ida with blank interest. Oh, if it isn't another one of you wannabe heroes. Just seeing this man right in front of him, Ida would then get angry. I'll make you pay for what you did to my brother. At this, Ida begins to flare up his cannons as he stared at this man, while Stain would look at him with a look of confusion, but also bloodlust. Whatever you say, fake hero. As this is where we now finally turn to everything that's about to happen now. All the key pieces are set. As just as Ida was about to get into contact, an explosion would then be heard. At this, chaos begins to erupt all over the place. As just like that, multiple swarms of Nomu begin to arise. As Shigaraki will have a satisfied smile on his face. Isn't it such a beautiful, perfect occasion for our reunion, don't you think, Kodagiri? As Shigaraki would say as he watches over the chaos that he had unleashed. All the Nomu all over the place, destroying and causing chaos, was music to Shigaraki's ears. As he was enjoying the scenery, Kodagiri would agree as he would look down at all the chaos he caused, now with the feeling of remorse. However, suddenly events would then begin to take place. At this, we would then see another event happen, and suddenly bursting through the train itself, we wouldn't see Gran Torino, as he suddenly sent a Nomu flying. As the Nomu was sent flying, Gran Torino would then arrive, as he would see a bunch of people all over the place, as every single one of them was just, panicking. All right, calm down, I'm here. As Gran Torino says this, though, this was something he would then also see a general spread of flames, as also appearing was none other than Endeavor. At this point, he would then see Endeavor was backed up by a bunch of other heroes, as just as things were now seeing the bright side, we would then also turn to a young girl. As she was currently running around in chaos looking for her parents, she would then suddenly be stopped by a Nomu that was currently screaming at her. At this, with tears in her eyes, she would begin to back up and crawl over to the wall, as she looks up in terror as the Nomu was about to grab at her and destroy her. However, this is when suddenly, just like that, the Nomu's head would then suddenly be sliced off in a very instant, as well as the fact that the body would just vanish as well. At this, the girl who was closing her eyes would then suddenly end up feeling herself be picked up, as she would then open her eyes to see none other than the cold, stoic gaze of Deku. Are you alright? At this, the girl would look at Deku amazed, as he would then look around the area, until finally he would actually end up vanishing, teleporting, as he would then appear right behind her parents, who were currently looking all over the place. Is it believed this is yours, ma'am? At this, the woman wouldn't stop, as she would then turn around, as they wouldn't see the child in the arms of this boy as they run up to her. At this, the girl seeing her parents would run up to them, as she would then look at Deku, thanking him over and over again, to which Deku would just shake his head, saying that it was okay. I recommend that you go ahead and evacuate. At this, just as he says this, a Nomu would then be sent flying and crashing, as this is when he would then look above to see Gran Torino, who had just kicked the thing away towards him. Now at this, the Nomu would then get up as it begins to rampage before turning to Deku and rushing at him. Tch, pathetic fool. At this, Deku would be approached by the Nomu as it tries to swipe at Deku with its claws, only to be having completely destroyed as it will destroy its pressure points. At this, the Nomu getting hit all over the place will then suddenly spaz out as it will fall into the ground, shaking a little bit as it tries to move, but unable to. At this, Deku, looking at the pathetic thing on the ground, will then raise his leg up as he will stare down at it. Die. At this, he will then slam his foot directly into the thing's head, stomping it out instantly. As he was doing so, he will then once again be flaked by multiple Nomus, only for them to be pierced by a string. At this is when Deku would then look up to see none other than Edgeshot. I told you to wait. At this, Deku scoffs. There was no time. At this, both of them would stare down at each other until finally they realized there was more important things to do. Flashback. At this, Edgeshot and Deku had just finished their monthly round of training, as they were currently doing information gathering training. As they had searched through certain areas, and due to the fact that they're both extremely stealthy, they had been able to avoid all the threats and had actually been able to gain quite a bit of intel. After being done with their job, they would then decide to go back. However, this is when Edgeshot would then stop. Actually, there would actually be a very good case, as why don't we go on patrol? At this, Deku would look him confused as Edgeshot would then begin to speak. Although it's quite well to continue on and lurk in the shadows, it's also quite well to be in the light to remind people that they're safe. After all, I may be a shinobi, but I'm also a hero. At this, Deku would sigh, as even though he wouldn't agree with it, he realized that it's in this world it seems a custom. So with that being said, Edgeshot would actually end up taking Deku on pursuit, and just as they arrived, chaos began to ensue. And Deku had actually sensed the panic of the girl whose very life was in danger, so of course, he used the technique to teleport. Now at this, Edgeshot was currently hanging out with all the Nobus and just defeating them. He had actually, when he saw Deku I'm messing up way too much. When he saw Deku had teleported, he was honestly in shock about the whole event. He wanted to ask questions about it, as the boy's techniques, he didn't show anything that he could do this, but he had multiple time for it later. As they were surrounded all around by Nomus, Deku would then honestly also gain a bad feeling as he begins to actually realize something. I see. So he's here as well. At this, Deku's senses, being the fact he had honed them and trained them, he would then pick up on a certain someone. At this, we now turn back to Ida, who currently right now was in a fight with Stain. At this, he'd been trying to attack the man for hours, but the thing was, Stain had more battle experience. He was stronger, and although Ida may be faster, due to the fact that it was in the alleyway, Ida just couldn't keep up with the man. Due to this, Ida was currently getting beaten up by Stain quite easily, as eventually, after he ends up nicking him once and actually licking some of his blood, Ida would then be paralyzed, he would then fall to the ground. At this, seeing that Ida was about to be finished, Stain would then walk over to him. I have to admit, you didn't put up quite a fight as you expected, and due to it, I'm quite disappointed. I expected more. Oh well. It seems as if this is the end for you, you false hero. At this is when suddenly we would then hear Ida break down, as you would say that Stain was nothing more than a monster. As after all, he went ahead and paralyzed his brother, even though he was someone who was doing good for the community. As Stain would listen on as this kid rambles on, he was about to strike him. However, as he had done so, this is when suddenly he would then be hit by a fist. Sorry, but I'm gonna have to stop you right there. At this, a booming voice would then be shouted out, as this is when Ida would then look up above. At this, his eyes would widen, as he would feel legit water begin to flow through his eyes, as he had actually thought he was finished. At this, Ida would then look at the man. Who are you? At this, looking at him, the man would then look down at Ida with a smile on his face. Nothing more but a simple hero. My name is Lemillion. As soon as saying this, Stain would then suddenly look at this kid as he ended up getting up, recovering from the blow. That kid, he's fast. At this, Muriel's face, who had been a simple smile, would then turn hardened, as he would then turn to the man with a very serious expression. I'm sorry, but I can't allow you to take a step further towards this man. As a hero, as having an authorization, I have no choice but to take you into custody. At this, Stain will stare at the kid for a while, as this one suddenly his eyes would then widen. As he could practically, almost as if it was an illusion himself, he would then see a silhouette of Mirio. However, right behind him would be none other than All Might, with a broad smile on his face. This boy, just who did I run into? At this, he could already tell, from the smile on this kid's face, and just from the way he was just radiating off of this aura, this energy, he could tell that this kid was suddenly someone who definitely deserved the title of hero. At this, he was about to begin to speak up. This one, however, he would then suddenly end up getting hit, but this time not by Mirio. At this, the hit from the back was enough to actually make him cough up blood, as he ends up getting sent flying. No, not again. This Stain would actually be able to recover as he flips over, swinging his katana, swinging it around, ready to stab the person who hit him in the neck. However, his katana would then phase right through the person. As just like that, right before he could think of something, his katana would then shatter, as he would then be punched in the stomach once again, slamming into a wall, as this time he would be cratered into it. What? At this point now, a bold and stoic voice would then begin to speak up. I'm impressed. I didn't think someone else would also arrive just as I did. At this, Mirio and Ida would then look as they would then be surprised. Ida surprised by the fact that he even made an appearance, while Mirio surprised about how quickly he would be able to take care of it. Midoriya, Ida would say this as standing right there with a stoic gaze in his hero costume, you'll see Deku as he was staring down at none other than Stain, before turning his gaze onto Mirio. At this, he had a smile on his face. At this, he could already tell this kid was interesting. And from the glowing power, plus the fact that he has very similar energy to All Might, Deku could tell. I see. So he found his air. At this, Lemillion would be looking at the kid with surprise. He would then chuckle. Man, that was amazing. But I don't recommend that you step in. After all, you need a hero lesson for this one, kid. So unfortunately, I don't think it's a good idea for you to enter into this. As of course Mirio would say this with a smile on his face, he would then turn to Stain. Trust me, I got this. At this, of course, both of them would stare down at each other. As seeing this, sorry, I was about to get the name mixed up. Gosh dang it. Deku would then, of course, actually, surprisingly, end up walking away. Very well, take care of it then. At this, Ida was surprised as Mirio would then nod. As Stain would then get out of the crater. Dang it. At this, he had thought at first everything was going to go by smoothly, but then two powerful individuals then showed up. However, something was off about the other one. Mirio, or he doesn't know that his name was Mirio, but I'm just going to use it for now. Mirio, the Lemillion, as he named himself. Stain had actually saw and sensed the aura. The man was a true hero. However, for the other one, he couldn't tell. He was an unknown card. He couldn't exactly describe him. Although he could already tell from the look in his eyes, he could tell that this man was not like other heroes who were blatantly looking for acceptance or greed or really anything at all. The man was just something else entirely. It was as if being a hero, he just wants to do it because he can. But there was also something else right behind it. And he honestly didn't know, but he knew it was dangerous. At this, seeing this, however, this one suddenly he would then turn his attention back to Mirio, as he would then gain a very greenish glow. Well then, it would be quite rude of me not to go ahead and give people who came here to actually watch me and give them quite a spectacle, don't you think? At this, Stan would look at Mirio in surprise, and so suddenly he would then let out a roar as he would then rush over to him. At this, he was here to slaughter the heroes, and he was not going to leave until he does so. And just like that, the battle between Stain and Lemillion would then begin. And the fight would go down as Stain would try swiping at Mirio. However, this one suddenly, in a very shocking manner, his blade would then go right through him. What? At this is when suddenly he would then be hit in the stomach, as he would then be sent flying and crashing to the wall. One for all. Detroit smash. As Mirio would say this with a smile on his face, Stan would then be sent flying as he had his eyes blown. What? As this one suddenly he would then also end up getting elbowed in the stomach as well, as Mirio was not letting up the barrage of assaults. Take this! At this is when Mirio would then begin to barrage him with a bunch of punches, as of course Stan taking all these blows was surprised. He's too strong and fast. I can't get in. Dang it! At this, just as Mirio stopped his blow, this one suddenly he would then take out two blades that were currently on each side of him, as he would then suddenly try stabbing Mirio's neck. However, as he does so, the blade would then phase right through Mirio. I'm sorry, but that's not gonna work. Impossible. There's no way. At this, standing there as he had a smile on his face, not even a small scratch, this is when suddenly Lemillion would then turn and give him one of his fiercest and proud smiles. At this is when suddenly Mirio would then speak. Now this is the end of you, hero killer. At this is when suddenly Mirio's lightning would then suddenly shift from green to yellow, as he has a fierce and broad smile on his face. As his fist begins to actually, power up a bunch, he'll then throw a punch directly into Hero Killer Stain. As his Stain seeing this will then go wide, as he tries once again to try hitting him, doing something, but he couldn't. His attack phased right through him, as his fists would then connect with the Hero Killer's stomach. As Lemillion would then yell out, "Power!" At this, just like that, Stain would then be sent flying and crashing, as he would be hit and crashing onto the street, getting knocked out unconscious. As blood would then spill out, the hero can do nothing more but watch in shock. To think, there'll be another just like him. As just before he fell unconscious, you wouldn't see the silhouette of All Might right behind him. Right behind Mirio, if you guys didn't know. As just like that, seeing that all the chaos was gone, the golden lightning would then suddenly stop as Mirio then turns to them. Are you guys alright? At this, Ito was so shocked. He couldn't believe it. Amazing. However, as Ito's gaze of admiration and respect was showing, Deku was staying stoic as he was analyzing the man. He became intangible. At this, he saw it. As Stain had tried stabbing the man and actually had tried hitting him and fighting back, he wasn't able to. The attacks went right through the so-called Lemillion. And also another thing was the fact that he had a very similar quirk to All Might. It means that he had found a new heir. At this, Deku was of course satisfied at this, but there was also something else. This new one was definitely someone who's going to far surpass the old one. He could already see it. And this brought an interesting smile on his face. To think, I'll meet someone else who has the will and strength, just like him. As Lemillion was giving them a smile, he wouldn't see the silhouette of All Might with a thumbs up as if All Might was right there standing right in front of them. What do you guys think about Asa's and Lemillion's interaction? How do you think it will go? What do you guys think about Mirio being the one to inherit One for All? And overall, what do you guys think of the story in general? It is your host, Seiji Samurai. Thank you all so much for tuning into this video. You guys have been amazing with the support. I'm really glad to have posted out this another part. And if you guys are here and are just enjoying your time in general, I'm glad. So once again, guys, thank you all so much. You guys have been amazing with the support. But either way, guys, it is your host, Seiji Samurai, and he's off to celebrate his birthday. Thank you so much. I really appreciate y'all for being here, and goodbye. Have a good day.